Okay, so again, good afternoon. I'm Shannon Prey. I'm one of the evaluators with CPEG. We're the Community Epidemiology and Program Evaluation Group. And we help with all of the things evaluation, developing reporting, all of that for you, partnered with CDPHEs. And we're really here to help partner with you guys and all the pieces you may need from us along the way as you do all the boots on the ground work. So again, have been referring to this program that you guys are all working in as the chronic disease framework. Today we're just going to talk about what you guys are doing for end of year reporting. There we go. Okay, so today's agenda, I have a very brief overview of what is evaluation and why is it important, and then we'll talk directly about the reporting. So, what is evaluation? Program evaluation refers to the systemic collection of information about activities, characteristics, and outcomes of programs to make deductions about the program, improve the program effectiveness, and/or inform decisions about future program development and funding. So, all of that to say that we are going to collect data in a systematic fashion that gives us insights into what is going right, what we can improve, and what we should do next. We're going to measure change. We're going to demonstrate that our programs are doing what we intended them to do. And it's what we use to inform future efforts, program quality improvements, and expansion. So again, really, why does it matter? We're here to help you tell your story about what you have done, how you have affected change in your community, and how you are really changing the world. Evaluation lets you know if you are accomplishing your goals and desired outcomes because we have set measures to that along the way. And it helps you tell your story and hopefully get future and additional funding, and helps build sustainability to the program and the work that you're doing. Okay, so that was my really brief high-level view of what evaluation is. And now we're going to get right into reporting and what you guys are doing. So I know we have already talked about, Mike has told me about all the different pieces we're doing along the way, including you're doing a whole summary of what you've been doing thus far this year and the details of then what you're going to use that information to develop into the next pieces for your work plan going forward. So this is really just reporting on this first 6 months, January to the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of June. We're going to be, everybody's reporting in a standardized fashion. We're using one tool. Everyone's reporting on the same things. And this reporting, I want you to know, is really not meant to be a heavy lift at all. It's some very high level version of what you're doing. So, okay, let me slow down and talk about what my slides actually say. We're going to be reporting using a standardized tool. Again, everyone's using the same tool, the same metrics, the same things to report on. The tool is online, and you will receive an email with the link to the tool when on the day we go live. That email will also include instructions, resources, and FAQs. So Micah has shared with me the contact list for your groups. If there are additional people that you want added to, who this gets sent to or anything like that, please let us know, and we'll make sure that anyone in your group that should be getting the initial contact email gets that. And then you should know that the report is short and it is really high level at this point. Just kind of closing the loop on what have we done and what are we looking for. And then, as I've mentioned, CPEG is available to help you at any point in your reporting. If you have problems with accessing or using the tool, if you have questions about it, if you have questions about what you're supposed to be reporting, what counts as this, what should go in here, any of that, I'm absolutely happy to help you. Let's start with our reporting dates. So today, May 26th, we're doing this webinar. We're going to open the reporting June 1st. And you'll see July 15th is our reported due date. So if you're part of any of the STEP program or the CCPD program, you'll notice that this is a very long open space for you to do this. We didn't want to have to wait too long after we do this webinar and get you introduced to the information to give you access, but we wanted to give you the full amount of space and time that might be allotted if you were in one of the other programs to have your due date be at a later date. So it's open for a very, very long time, but that does not mean that you need to wait till the last minute to do it. We invite you to open it, get acquainted, and get it done as soon as you're ready to. So today, webinar to introduce everything. June 1st, the reporting tool open, again, via that email link. So I'll send an email again, with all the pieces of it, links to the resources, where this is stored, if you have any other questions about that, so that you have what we feel is really what you need to know to get started. June 1st to July 15th, CPEG, and when I say CPEG, usually I mean me, will be available to help with any reporting questions you have along the way. And just to note, there are a couple, there's the 4th of July holiday in there, and there's some other things. When you email me, my kickback says that I'll get back to you within 3 days, and through reporting time, I really try to be a lot quicker than that, but not perfect. So give me a couple hours, but it may be in the next day, but I will always get back to you and we'll figure out what's going on. So then early July, if you have not started gotten into your reporting tool and just started looking at it and filling some stuff out by probably the week after the 4th of July, you'll hear from Micah and myself just to check in and make sure you actually have access, that you remember that it's due, that all these pieces are coming up. It's really important that we get all the pieces from everyone. So we like to check in and just make sure it's going okay. There are always grantees who like to fill out all of their information in a template outside of the reporting tool and then copy it over from working on the other programs. I know that there are people that literally will not touch the reporting tool until the last minute, which is totally fine. But that does lead to some freak out on the part of myself and Micah that you haven't touched it at all and you might not know what's going on. So that's when we'll reach out to make sure everything's going okay. Okay, and then July 15th, that report is due. So I say don't forget to hit submit, because sometimes you'll have worked your way all the way through and you're waiting for someone else to check it and all the things. Please go ahead and submit so we know that you're coming in and everything is there. Okay, so opening June 1st, due July 15th. That gives you, I think it's about 6 weeks to do this, and this really should not take that long, but gives you plenty of time to get into it, look at everything, make sure you feel comfortable with what's going on, and have time for to answer any questions and submit. And again, you're always welcome to submit before that July 15th date. Okay, so here is what you're actually here for, the tool itself. So the first page of the tool, when you click through from the link in your email, will look like this. You in your email will have been assigned a login ID. That login ID is for your entire grantee team. So if you are, say, Adams County has one login for anyone from Adams County that is reporting. So you can have multiple people use the same ID to log in and make updates to the report itself. That's not a problem. If you cannot be doing it at the same time, that is really helpful because, as you can imagine, that will freak the system out and someone's data will ultimately be overwritten. But everyone in that case, everyone from Adams County is going to use the same login. So you get here, you enter your login, and then you click the little arrow button, and the next page looks like this. The purpose of this report is to review and document the grantee's progress over the start of this grant cycle starting in January 2026. If you have questions, contact us here. And then the next section, or the next little page, just is your basic details. and a grantee program name, project title, who the primary contact is, their phone number and email, and who the person who's actually completing the report is. This helps me out in terms of who I need to follow up with if I have any questions, because we'll review all the data once it's submitted. So this is our starting area, and then we're going to go into the next section. Thinking about your work since the beginning of this grant cycle, again, January 1st to June 30th, please describe your three biggest accomplishments. And for each of these, you'll have 1,800 characters to describe. So as you can hopefully see here, here's accomplishment number one, number 200, number three. So you have three boxes, 1,800 characters each to tell us three things that you've gotten done. And maybe that is, we were able to pass policy in this area, but maybe it's we were able to make connections with person X, Y, and Z, and we're looking forward to developing relationships that we can do this. Like they may be on very different scales, and that's okay. What your top three accomplishments in the first 6 months, and we understand it's the first 6 months, and you've been doing some exploratory work here. Yes, you have space for all three of these. And then just so you know, when you're using this reporting tool, when you have these boxes like this with this little almost crosshatch down in the bottom, if you click on it and pull the box out, you're able to see all of your data. So if you have a little bit and it fits in there, no problem. If you want to be able to see everything that's going on, just drag that and pull it out. You can see everything that you've entered in there. The question comes up, do we want it to be 1,800 words or can it be succinct? Succinct would be amazing. You for sure do not need to use 1,800 words if you have many fewer or characters. You do not need to use 1,800 characters still if you have many fewer and you can adequately describe what you're talking about. Happy to have shorter answers. Okay, so next section, thinking about the work since the beginning of this grant cycle, please describe your three biggest challenges and any solutions you implemented to overcome them. This may include political climate, existing policies that are at odds or that you need to work around or with, administrative issues, lack of contacts and champions, anything that hindered your progress. So here we really want to know in the first 6 months as you were doing your exploratory work, what were the big issues you came across and were you able to do or use to work through or around or on those challenges. So same thing, you have space to enter all three different ones and 1,800 characters to describe each. The third section is about supports or facilitators. So thinking about your work since the beginning of this grant cycle, please describe your three biggest supports or facilitators. If you're part of either of the other grant programs we work with, we use the term facilitators, and that term makes a lot of people cringe or question what it is. We really want to simplify it a little bit. And so we're using supports a lot in this version. So the things that have supported you, that might be people, champions that are helping out. It might be existing infrastructure. It might be connectors that you meet along the way that help you learn about the areas you need to be with, local groups that you can work with, those kinds of things. Unknown resources that you previously had, previously unknown resources. Anything that helps you progress the project to this point. Three biggest supporters there. And again, 1,800 characters to describe each. Three biggest supports you have encountered. Okay, and then this is the last little piece of the reporting tool at this point. So the question is, are you part of a regional collaboration? My understanding is that if you are on any of these. So just yes or no. If yes, then you're going to be asked the question, are you the lead agency in your regional collaboration? And part of this is just us being able to put all the data together in the same place to use for any of the connecting any of the data together that we may need to do mostly at a later point. And that is really the tool itself. Okay, let's see. I had a question come in about, is less than three for any of these buckets okay? So for the accomplishments, challenges and supports, yes, less than three is okay. I'd love to hear three in your accomplishment section, especially things that you were able to do. They don't have to be change the world accomplishments, but things that you were able to do, connections that were made, things that will help move your program forward. Challenges and solutions. If you don't have three, you don't have three. I know early in the work, a lot of people will, so I kind of assume. And supports, if you don't have three main things that helped you get to where you are, I totally understand that. Um, you don't have to make something up just to fit into all three, and that goes across the board. Don't make something up just to try to fit into all three buckets if there really wasn't something there that you can point to. But if you sit and think about it for a few minutes, you may be able to identify three. No, you will not be punished or anything like that for not having three there. Totally okay. Okay, so then in terms of submitting your report, um, make sure you get all the way to the end. So sometimes this can be a little confusing that it looks like there's a submit button and then there's another submit button that you also have to push. But I think this version of it is pretty streamlined. You'll get to the last page, looks like this with the big stop sign. Have you fully completed your report? If so, you're going to click yes and submit to record your response. Um, it says submit, but right now it's just an arrow. In any case, you're going to click yes and then continue on. After you've submitted, you won't be able to get back in to edit anything unless you contact CPEG. If you reach out to me, I'm happy to give you access back in to edit something or change something that you realize needed to be updated. Not a problem. After you click submit, you'll need to go through there. It's possible that there's an additional page that you're going to click through. If at this point you are not done, you're going to use these back arrows to navigate back to the pieces that you need to do. And that's throughout your reporting as you're going. Feel free to use the forward arrows and back arrows to go back and forth between the different sections. I know that a lot of times, even if you use a template, or you go in and you report all the pieces, and then someone else wants to review them before you submit stuff, just use the forward and backward buttons to navigate back and forth through that. Because this reporting tool is very simple at this point, there shouldn't be any major issues with that. I will put the caveat to that I always recommend using a template, which I have created for you and will be published on our, we call it the VAP, or virtual access point, which we'll give you all access to. I have a template published ready for you that you can fill out all the things. Again, this is a pretty straightforward one, so it's not hard to guess what they are or anything like that, but I do have one. And I always recommend completing your report in that, having people edit it and stuff before you input it to the tool. We have all had something happen where there is a solar flare or some glitch or something crazy goes on. Sometimes at someone's firewall, something happens and your data gets wiped. And my system saves your work along the way. So you should be able to like put stuff in, leave, come back another time and finish reporting on the same information. And everything is still there as it was the last time you were there. But sometimes something happens and I cannot explain it. So I always recommend using the template. Then if you get to that point and something happens, you have your backup that you're working from. Okay, that's my plea for that. Um, some of you have experienced that at one end or the other. And as I say, a lot of times there is no rhyme or reason to exactly why one grantee's information disappears and someone else's stays there. I do not know and I cannot explain. So I don't want you to lose your data. That's what it really comes down to. Okay, so here we're going to submit. If you click yes, then you click the over, and then you'll get a little, we thank you for your time spent doing this. And whoever has the primary contact email on file, I actually think I will add a on that opening page, it says all your grantee details, and you have your primary contact information, and that's the person who like maybe holds the grant and is the named person, but maybe someone else is filling in this data for them and is the person that if there was a question I would follow up with. I'm going to have you enter your email address as well. So then at the end here, both of those email addresses are going to get your data emailed to you after you've submitted it so that you have a copy for yourself as well. So you have that and you will have that version of it for you there. Okay, so really it's very straightforward and very, I hope, simple. I understand it requires some brain power on your side to go back and think through what you've done and come up with some pieces. I also understand that based on the summary work that you're doing right now, it's possible that there's kind of a little bit of duplication of effort in terms of some of the things you're going to end up reporting. And so I'm happy for you to work through and write out your narrative and use the same if there's a version that it needs to be duplicated like that. Are there any questions that I can answer at this point? I'm supposed to be really comfortable with silence and letting people come to me with their questions, and I really struggle with it. So I'll just keep talking, but please pipe in any questions you have. You're welcome to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask your question in person. Okay, one question that came in: how often will reporting occur for the next phase starting July 1st? That is still a little bit in discussion. There will be some touch points over the next year, but I know as you guys are building out your implementation plans and there's some follow-up on that and stuff, there will not be any super intense reporting until at least January. I think that will still be kind of in a draft version, is my understanding at this point, but we're still working through some of the details for that. So hold tight. For right now, what we're doing will look a lot like what this is looking like now. For this report, are we reporting on the full period that we have been funded for this first year? Yes, you were reporting anything from the beginning of your funding through the end of June. Yep, January to June 2026. Yes, please report on that whole section. As I mentioned, I have a template. I will put this slide deck along with this recording all on what we call our virtual access point, which has, when you get to the page, I actually can give it to you right now. You just use bit.ly/cpeg home. It is important that the capitalization matches this capitalization. And when you look across this data, this information isn't there yet, but will be shortly. There is a page for STEPP grantees, there is a page for CCPD grantees, and there is a page for chronic disease framework grantees. So all of your program specific things like this template, this slide deck, this presentation will be posted specifically on there. So you can hop on there and grab any of them that you need. I believe Michael will send out a follow-up email with a link and information on that as well as the reporting dates and everything like that. Okay, I'm still available for questions if you have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Again, my name is Shannon, and you can get a hold of me directly, but I am the person who monitors the evaluation TA email inbox. evaluationta@ucdenver.edu. You reach out there, you will get me. It helps me if you mention that you are part of the CDF or the STEPP chronic disease program. I'm sure there's another acronym that I don't know of yet, but I will learn. Then I know a reference point of where we're working from. But any questions you have, you're welcome to reach out to me and I will get back to you as quickly as I can with as much information as I have, and we'll find whatever you need. Okay, if I don't have any more questions, I'll go ahead and hit stop on my recording and close out the session. But welcome all to this program, to this part of the everything. I'm excited to get to work with you and help you be able to tell your stories in any way that I can help add to what you're doing. So please reach out to me with anything that you have questions about or I can help you with. Thanks for tuning in. And again, I apologize for my tardiness, and I am thankful that you guys all hung on. I know there was a lot writing on this so that you would have all the information you needed, but I really appreciate your patience and I'm sorry it won't happen again.